Okay, we are here. Good to see you all tonight. Everybody on Kick, what's going on? I'm representing the Rack, Chirac. Everybody on Twitch, I'm representing the Windy City. Everybody on YouTube, I'm representing Chicago, Illinois. And to all my people on Facebook, I am representing Chi-Town. All right, positive energy all the time. We got Greensboro in the building. And we got San Jose, California in the building. You say they're going to end on mandates for child vaccines. Yeah, that's a two-way street. That is definitely a two-way street. Anytime your child don't get vaccinated, you're kind of rolling the dice. This generation is far removed from polio. And my generation grew up, G-Rod, right after polio. When I was little, children had polio. When I was little. And so this generation don't know nothing about polio. So, they are far removed from it. So I've got mixed, it's the young generation, and they're not really that good with history. And that's a two-way street. For sure. Me and my sister, we was vaccinated. We're fine. Didn't do nothing else. We've got many children. We got grandchildren. We're both in our 60s. So this is the younger generation who don't know much history. They don't know much. They don't remember polio. The polio was not good. Wait a minute, I'll be right back. I remember when I was young, I had a whooping cough. That was not good. I mean, like I said, Gerard, you got a younger generation that don't know much. So anytime you got a young generation, they never have, especially nowadays, they don't know, they don't learn much. Most younger people have no historical context. So they got to find out the hard way. If I remember young, I had the whooping cough, and you just cough continuously. Because actually, you could pass away from the whooping cough. You just don't stop coughing. And so when you start talking about vaccination and you don't talk about international travel, and good luck. Because they got some illnesses in India that if you get it, so I don't know. You got to roll the dice. Me, if I'm running the country, I'm paying more attention to what the vaccinations are made out of than just banning them. Because, like, once grandparents and parents and stuff is vaccinated, and then you don't get vaccinated for so long, now you're back susceptible to some of those old plagues. Making it a choice won't stop, you know. Some things you're going to, if it starts spreading, the vaccination might not even help it. So I don't know. This is a younger generation. This current young generation is the most uninformed generation in the history of the country. They don't know much. I'm not trying to say they're dumb, but they're not the brightest bulbs in the lamp. I put it like that. They don't know too much. Like they do their math and science and stuff like that. But like my children, they're not as informed as me and my sister. Like me and my sister's children are not as informed as me and my sister. The younger generation is totally like uninformed. They waste a lot of time in school with. They don't teach you much in school anymore. You understand? You from Africa, you know what happened if you go to Africa and you don't get the right vaccination, you go to the wrong country, you know what happens. You're gonna be out of there. You know what I'm saying? You know what happens you go to the wrong country? You already know. You know about Ebola and all that. You go to the wrong place. My boy, he went to Africa and he drank some water and he got a parasite in him. He came back to the United States. Every time they tried to pull a parasite, it broke off. When they finally got the parasite out, it was like 5 feet long. He almost lost all his intestines over there drinking that water. It's like, bro, don't drink that water. But when you start talking about people flying from India and Africa and Asia and all that, and just let everybody just walk around coughing on each other and all that, I don't know, man. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, they'll give you some shots ain't no good. So I'm just saying the energy should be focused on what is the vaccination more so than whether you should get it or not. they should be spending more energy on, is the vaccination safe and does it really work? And are you vaccinating people when they come to the country? Because all these people running across these borders with no type of vaccinations, it's definitely going to be a problem. You just can't have people. That's why immigration is a problem. You just can't run across the border coughing on me, bro. Since soon as those people ran across the border, measles and chickenpox was everywhere because they got a high ratio, I think, of measles down there in South America, right? Let's see what they got. See what I'm saying? So I don't know about no vaccinations and immigration. Let's look. Children in Venezuela have suffered from outbreaks of preventable diseases like measles and diphtheria due to a collapse in public health infrastructure and widespread shortages of medical supplies and vaccines. They don't have no vaccines and they sick. These health crises have been compounded by severe malnutrition, leaving children vulnerable to infection and even passing away. It reminds me of a brethren. I had a brethren in Hawaii, and he had working with his machete, and he had cut his finger. And when he chopped his finger with the machete, because he was a Rasta man, and because we be dealing with ital and natural, he was putting plants and stuff on it. He was using natural cures. And the finger kept getting worse and worse and worse. It never healed. So finally he went to the doctor, and when he went to the hospital, they had to cut the finger off. And the doctor told him that if he wouldn't have came, if he would have waited till the next day, they would have had to cut their hand off. If he would have waited 2 days, they would have had to cut it off at the elbow. He said if he'd have waited 3 days, they would have had to cut the whole arm off. And if he would have waited 4 days, he would have passed away. Because he's trying to do some natural. So, a lot of us as plant-based, I always tell them, it's a thin line between being plant-based and using herbs and ignoring science. So when my babies, if they get a fever, like they grown now, but I remember my daughter came to visit, my middle daughter, and she got a fever. And we was doing everything. And when that fever didn't break, I took her to the hospital. They gave her some medicine and broke the fever. I didn't try to do this plant-based and all that. I took her to break that fever. Because first we tried. You could put onions in the socks. With the onions in the socks worked. If her feet was burning up, but still, I'm not going to roll the dice with her life like that. Because she can go there, give her the medicine, right? You say the plant-based food going to cure you. The plant-based food going to run stuff out your body. All right, then. This is for the plant-based people. Then you go and take the medicine. Let the medicine run out the sickness. Then you eat the food to run out the medicine. Bam. If the food can run out the sickness, the food can run out the medicine. So you got the sickness, you take the medicine to run the sickness out. Then you eat the plant-based stuff to clean the medicine out. Bop, bop. Listen, I'm 67 years old. So my grandmama and great-grandmama and them, I know what it was like. I know why we got vaccines. The young generation don't know why we got vaccines. They're young. They don't know. They don't know nothing about, they don't know. They don't study no history. None. They don't study no history. They don't know no history. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you, you know what I'm saying? They don't know no history. They think, you know what I'm saying? They don't know no history. Who know about 1918? The 1918 flu. The 1918 flu affected an estimated 5 million people worldwide and killed about 675,000 Americans. What y'all know about that? Smallpox. Y'all remember smallpox? Before the 20th century, multiple smallpox epidemics devastated native populations of the Americas who lacked natural immunity. That killed 130,000 people. Polio. Polio, widespread, especially among children. That killed 3,000 people, but a lot of them was crippled. You know, y'all know about the purple death, the great flu and all that stuff, the Spanish flu. Y'all know about the Spanish flu? 500,000, 850,000 passed away. Like, you got to know history. You know what I'm saying? You got to know history. You got to know history. Man, it ain't about how it play out in Florida. I'm just telling you, you rolling the dice. If it turn out good, great. See what I'm saying? If it turn out good, great. But if it turn out bad, then what? That's the dice you want to roll. Yeah, you want to take the chance it work out. If it work out, everybody will be fine. If it don't work out, what's the results? The results ain't gonna be good. And whatever it is, it ain't gonna stay in Florida because they're gonna get on the plane and you might be on the plane. So now somebody from Florida come to New York or come to Pittsburgh, come to Chicago, they got it. Then they get on the plane to go home. They sitting in front of me, back of me, or sex me. I get on the plane. They take it back where they at. I take it where I'm going. I go to Kansas City and take it. I come back to Chicago, spread it. By the time we all find out we sick, you got a nationwide pandemic. People that's against vaccines, they don't know nothing about viruses. They just emotional. Viruses are real. I had COVID and it wasn't no joke. And if you didn't have a good immune system and you got COVID, it wasn't gonna come out good for you. That's why people are saying, man, they didn't really pass away from COVID. They passed away from something else. Yeah, they did. Because if you had something else wrong with you, COVID made that unalive you. So they wasn't telling y'all the facts. They be on this internet unintelligent. Yes, if you got any other sicknesses, COVID is going to make that sickness unalive you. That's a fact. If you got any other sickness and you get COVID, could make that sickness unalive you. Then they're going to say, oh, you didn't pass away from COVID. You passed away from that. No, you passed away from COVID. So if you got multimorbidities or comorbidities and you get anything, it's the comorbidities is going to unalive you. If you already got asthma and you get some type of breathing something, you out of there. If you already got diabetes and you catch this, you out of there. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, if you got anything wrong with you and you catch something, you out of there. Because your body ain't going to be able to fight that. And that's going to make what's wrong with you worse. So they did not just make vaccines for a joke. You know, we live in a conspiracy era. Oh, man, they made the vaccines. You know, the vaccines to do something. Man, they did not make no vaccines to do nothing to you. They made vaccines to save your life. The scientists and them ain't intelligent, bro. That's the new generation. Look at your president. Your president's dumber than a rock. This is the dumbest generation in my lifetime now that's coming into things. From the oldest one, if the older ones is dumb, imagine about the young ones. This is a totally misinformed generation, internet, because all that's internet. All that anti-vaccine stuff, that's internet stuff. That's not based on no real science. That's not based on no real science. For real. They got viruses out here that ain't no joke. Man, they got stuff that if you get it, okay, why they ain't cure HIV? STDs, get chlamydia and don't clear it. Get H. pylori. Get H. pylori and don't find out and don't take that medicine and see what happened to you. I can name a bunch of, like, people don't ever heard of H. pylori. Get H. pylori and don't diagnose it and let that stay in your stomach and see what happened to you. So I don't know how you could be nasty and against viruses. People's nasty. People nasty. So, I mean, why you trying to act like y'all clean? You know what I'm saying? We don't need no viruses. We super clean. Like y'all nasty. Like you nasty. People is nasty. Anybody could tell you, on my soul, anybody could tell you. Anybody that raised children. That's another thing. This generation ain't even got no kids, so they slow. But anybody know that if you got children, you and your wife, anybody know that as soon as your baby go to first or second grade, the whole house gets sick. Anybody that's a real parent will tell you that. As soon as your baby, not in kindergarten, but first, second grade, third grade, they make the whole house sick. They come back from school toxic. They make the whole house sick because they ain't got no immune system and they catch whatever and they bring anybody on here got children, tell them about first, second, and third graders if they don't make the whole house sick. Not no good sick sometimes sick. Ask somebody. First graders, second graders, and third graders bring sickness to the house for sure. And not no easy sicknesses, too. Some lay down in the bed a few days sicknesses. They make the whole house, once they come in the house, you, your wife, and the older kids, everybody got whatever it is. Because these little kids be having a new version. See, it ain't the same cold every year. That cold ain't that cold. That flu ain't that flu. They don't know no science. Like viruses are living creatures and they fighting to stay alive. So viruses increase their potency and viruses change. It's trying to stay alive. And so a virus, a change, it'll get weaker or it'll get more potent. It don't stay because it's a creature. It's a living thing. That's why they can see it. They can see the virus. They can see it. It's a parasite. And it ain't a virus. It ain't no joke. Soon as the temperature drop, I'm going to have my mask back on. I'm not going out there without my mask. COVID is still here. It's a whole bunch of stuff still here. And it's a whole bunch of people just ran across with Venezuela and all that. Man, listen, y'all play if you want. Play. You gonna learn. I was born in 1958, so y'all don't know. So I ain't antivirus. I ain't anti-medicine. Because there's certain things, only medicine could kill it. There might be plants and stuff to kill it, but we don't know which one. So now you're experimenting. That's why my friend almost lost his whole hand. Because whatever that was that got inside that soil, he couldn't kill it. He did all the herbs and all the concoctions and stuff, the fenugreek, all that stuff. Man, that finger still kept getting worse. And we told him, bro, you better go your ass to the hospital. You better go to the professionals, bro, and stop trying to do this magic herbal medicine. How you gonna cure something you don't even know what it is, bro? How you gonna use some natural medicine or you don't know what it is? Like, what, bro? You don't even know what that is in your hand. You know, because like they got staph infection in Hawaii. See, people don't be traveling. Like here in Chicago, you scrape your knee, you fine. Scrape your leg in Hawaii. If you don't go to the doctor, you might lose that whole leg because they got like staph infection. It ain't no joke because it's warm and muggy, so it lives on the rocks. See, in Chicago, it can't live because you got winter, summer, you got hot and cold. So germs can't live in Chicago outside because the climate changed too much. But if you go in a warm climate, man, with serious germs in warm climates. So no vaccination in Florida, good luck with that. Because you ain't got the type of weather going to kill no virus. You got the kind of weather where a virus going to just live. Because, okay, we got viruses that live in cold weather, but then spring and summer come, so it can't survive. Then you got viruses that live in warm weather, but we got winter and snow, and so it can't survive. So no virus that live in a certain temperature can survive in Chicago because the weather keep changing. You had to get the parasite dug out the bone. I'm trying to tell him, man, about like medicine is like, you know what I'm saying? But Kennedy trying to clean it up. But anybody that talk like this, I'm not gonna listen to him. He don't look healthy. I'm not listening to Kennedy and Trump about no health. But go ahead, because they kind of crackpots. They kind of Trump be listening to his sons on the internet, and Kennedy is a conspiracy lunatic. He got some good ideas. Don't get me wrong, but he a conspiracy. Conspiracy dudes they think Michelle Obama is a man. They say Michelle Obama is a man. They don't even look up when sex transplants happen. Like they try to say she had a sex operation before that even existed. So they ain't the smartest. They ain't that smart. If you try to say Michelle Obama was a boy got turned to a girl before they started turning boys into girls, they didn't even start turning boys into girls until the 80s. What? What boy was turning to the girls in the 60s? Y'all believed they was doing sex changes in the 60s? Who believed that? Anybody that slow? Because a lot of people still had black and white TV. Somebody that slow? They was doing sex changes before they came out with Fruit Loops. I guess so. I guess when people still had black and white TV, some of this stuff be crazy. Like, bro, they want sex changes in the 60s? What? Well, these is young people. They don't know how primitive things used to be. Like things was extremely primitive. Yeah, you could lose your body. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Different climates, different stuff. You gotta be careful. So look, tonight we talking about, and this proves that people slow. This generation is really slow. I feel like, especially America, I feel like we're in a lot of danger because we have a total emotional internet, a conspiracy group running the country, and they not that bright. That whole Trump team is all conspiracy weirdos. And so they not that bright and they don't think. And one thing about our politics, if we want to increase our politics, they got to stop getting high political people and high academia people from advice. They got to get like regular people to come to and be a part of these cabinets to give advice, because they be taking advice from people that's got some type of political agenda or supposed to be like this high intellect. And if you've been to school, you know the nerds be dumb. The nerds have book knowledge. They won't be having no common sense. The nerds don't be that intelligent. They just got the book knowledge, but they be slow. If you've been to school, if you know what I'm talking about. Like the more Poindexter you are, the more slower you are over here. So we have that situation now where they got ICE out here chasing migrants right before Thanksgiving harvest. What? So it's harvest time. You got to get all this food ready for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And you chase all the farm workers. I tell you, man, you can't make this up. You chase all the farm workers away right when it's time to pick all the food. Now, I don't know who running the business, but that's not good business. Like good business is, okay, we want to get rid of these migrant farm workers, let them pick this stuff in time for harvest. Then let's get rid of them in December. And then we got time before spring when it's time to plant again to replace them. No, let's chase them out at harvest time. you cannot make this up. So they chasing a lot of the migrants that ran right when all the food is ready to get picked. It's gonna be, I've seen videos of them dumping oranges. I mean, it's finna be so much food lost. And it's the most crucial time to pick the food. Like this is picking food time. And so you wanna chase out the migrant farm workers like right now? Like now. When I got thousands of acres or hundreds of acres of strawberries ready right now, you're gonna wait till the strawberries is ready. Why you didn't chase them out before I planted these? What? I keep telling you I buy some food because these people ain't the brightest bulbs in the lamp. Not only do you want to chase the migrants out right now when the food's getting ready, you also got the tariffs with no food coming in. So let me get this straight. The food's almost ready. Chase out everybody to pick it and also tell everybody don't ship none. Really? Really? Are you really? What? That's why I said these ain't the brightest bulbs in the lamp. Yeah, if you want to clean up, first off, if I'm president, you illegal, you run across the border. I find out you illegal, but you work here, you picking all these strawberries and stuff. I talk to the employers, me and Ice come, we talk to the place, say, yeah, Jose and them, they come every day. They picking out, they don't miss a day. All right. Here, you a citizen. You know what I'm saying? I'll fast track your citizenship. If you came here and you picking the food and you come to work all the time, you the type of immigrant I want over here. I'm looking for the ones that's selling illegal stuff and gang banging. Them the ones I'm trying to throw up. I'm not trying to throw up the one picking all the blueberries. I'm a fast track you. Oh, you came here illegal, but you ran and got a job real quick, huh? Cool. You work hard. Welcome to America. Me, I'll fast track all the ones that go to work. And I'll throw out all the ones that don't go to work that sell drugs and gangbang. Duh. What is we doing? You're going to throw out the workers. And you ain't going to throw them out. You're going to throw them out right now. What's the day? Like September the 4th? The U.S. harvest season generally runs from late spring through fall, with specific timing varying by crop and region. But the fall, September to November, is considered the busiest and most well-known harvest period. So let me get this straight. You got to, for it to be the harvest period, that means all the food is ready. So all the food is ready now. So what we need to do is chase out everybody gonna pick it. This is crazy. Everybody, we're gonna wait. You can't make this up. We in and chase them out when it was time to, before it's time to plant it. You gonna wait till the stuff is on the vine and on the tree ready, and then you're gonna chase everybody out and let the food rot. On top of that, you trying to act like you'll pick it. See, I'd be good for ice because I'd be like, "What's up, Julio? What's up, Jose? Listen, you picking the fruit, right? How long you been working it? You come to work all the time? Cause man, you need to be a citizen. I got respect for you because I ain't picking nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I got respect for you picking this stuff. I can't throw you. I ain't gonna pick it. I ain't gonna pick it, Jose. I ain't gonna pick it because they ain't even pay me for the stuff I picked already. We don't pick stuff no more. We need reparations. I'm speaking for Foundation Black Americans. We ain't picking nothing. Okay. We might pick the lottery, but we ain't even get paid for the cotton we picked already. So I'm not finna chase you out if you willing to pick it. Because black folks, we not picking nothing. I speak for all the Foundation of Black Americans. We ain't picking nothing. We might pick the lottery. If you're nasty, you might pick in your nose. But we ain't picking no nothing. We're not picking no crops. We got it. When you say picking, you give us PTSD. The word picking stuff, give me PTSD. When I hear pick some stuff, ain't no word. I don't like the idea of picking stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So you go chase them out when it's time to pick the stuff. Who think that's a good business move? Like if you was gonna chase them out, and the season to pick is September to November, wouldn't you fire them in December? Like I arrest them in December. I wouldn't arrest you for you pick this stuff. But me, I wouldn't arrest you at all. If you willing to pick this stuff, I need you here next year. Ain't nobody want to pick this stuff. So at what point does a person show that they work hard and you don't let them be a citizen? See, this got something to do with population, the European population going down, and they trying not to be outpopulated. They ain't fooling me. This ain't got nothing to do with nothing but that they death rate is higher than their birth rate, and they afraid they won't be the majority no more, and they don't want no white people here. They scared they gonna get outnumbered. And anytime you bullying people, you scared they gonna bully you back. I got some white friends that say, "Why y'all so scared? We don't want no get back." Why y'all scared to get back? We ain't trying to get y'all back. Like, stop. Nobody want to get no get back. Everybody just want to live and make money and take care of their children. Nobody want to get you back. They so scared. If it be a lot of y'all might get us back for what we did, bruh. Just run the reparations and go sit your goofy ass down somewhere. We ain't tripping like that. So I'm trying to figure, do this make any sense to y'all? I would fast track these people. You welcome to the USA. Boy, if you're going to come and bend your back over like that for 8 to 12 hours a day, for $11 an hour, because up in Nebraska, they say $11 an hour for like 8 hours, 10 hours work or something. Boy, if you're going to come do this for $11, you deserve to be a citizen. To me. But I'm not going to chase you out in September. I'm not even going to chase you out in August, because in California, they start picking the grapes from August to October. So why would you have ICE go to California right now? Why would you have ICE go to California right now and mess with the people picking the grapes? Like, get the people ain't doing nothing. So now Nebraska, they woke up one morning and all the migrants was gone. Y'all heard about that? Man, they woke up in Nebraska and all the migrants had left. They don't got no workers in Nebraska. Y'all heard about that? They gone. They left the state. Y'all heard about that? They woke up in Nebraska and all the migrants was gone. And they ain't got nobody to do nothing. All down in Texas, they lost all their people to help them on the cattle ranches. All in California, they lost all their people to help them with all them crops. They ain't got nobody. And it's finna be Thanksgiving and Christmas. This is harvest time. How they gonna get all that food to the stores? And why you wouldn't fast track, I'm confused. Like, you got a lot of whites that own these farms. They depend on these people to do this hard work so that the food could be on the table. The farmers already struggling. Farmers be struggling because sometimes they have a bad yield and all that. So they got to hire these people. They can't afford to pay a lot. They pay so much for fertilizer, so much for their crops, and so much to the government. Y'all can only imagine how the government do them. How you think the government do you if you're a farmer? They do you dirty, don't they? Y'all know they do you dirty. This government, anything you do, they be in your pocket, don't they? Oh, you want to be a farmer? Oh, you got to pay this fee for this. You got to pay this fee for that. Oh, don't forget the fee. So you got to pay a fee for the fee because there's a fee tax for fees. You got 3 fees, Pharaoh? Okay, well, you got to pay taxes on the 3 fees. You got to pay the fee tax. Then you got to pay this tax. You got to go pay the run your nose tax. Oh, you got to get these vaccines, or you got to get this. You got to pay all you got to pay. Okay? You got to pay for your corporation fees. Y'all got businesses and get the letter from the state. Pharaoh, you owe us $75. If you don't pay it, it's going to be $100. It's going to be $150. You know that, and them months go by like this, and they begging again. You got our money. We say you got a business. You got our money. You got to pay us to have a business. Yeah, we in your pocket. Do you got your city thing? That's $200 a year now. You got to go down and get them 200. You got to give us 150. You got to get them 200. So they juice you. They just rob you. They don't want you to make no money. So you're going to wait right till it's time to harvest the food, and you're going to chase all of the migrants that pick the food out. Now, this is abuse. I'm not chasing out no workers. If you come here and you want to work from Africa, wherever, and you working hard, you've already proved you deserve to stay. We trying to pick up criminals and people that's trafficking children and narcotics and stuff like that. We ain't trying to arrest no farm workers. So now Nebraska going broke.
It's Joe from Georgia. So we're getting ready for the first domino to fall, and we know what happens after the first one falls. Well, the state of Nebraska, the governor, Jim Pillen, has asked the federal government for help because they're not going to be able to pay their bills this year. And here's the problem in Nebraska. They had over a $2 billion contract with the Chinese government to export soybeans to China. Well, out of that 2 billion, they've canceled all the contracts. So out of that 2 billion, $350 million was state revenue taxes. They're not getting any of that. And the governor also goes on to say that because the migrant farmers weren't able to work in Nebraska this summer, that those people didn't pay their taxes either. And the farmers who already have crops in the ground, folks, they've already spent their money. They're going to need help too because they're not getting any money from the contracts anymore. So Nebraska is the first state. And when you look at the Midwest, you're probably looking at Kansas, you're looking at Iowa, South Dakota, all of those places that are large exporters of grains to China and depend on migrant farm labor. They're not going to be able to pay their bills either. So here's the first one to fall. But of course, as we do know, a certain person in a certain house in Washington, D.C. at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, they know all about bankruptcy. I'm sure they'll be able to help.
See what I'm saying? Like, we got people in there that don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. We got government officials that don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Mass deportations are gutting local economies. From farm fields in California to meat packing plants in Iowa, Trump's immigration raids are leaving businesses without workers and families too afraid to show up. Washington, the Trump administration's expanding mass deportation operations are sending shockwaves through local economies across the country, according to the new report from the American Immigration Council. This is coming from Pablo Manriquez, right? Migrant Insider, right? 7 months into President Trump's term, federal immigration enforcement has ramped up worksite raids, targeting industries from agriculture and construction to hospitality and food service. Instead of focusing on the worst of the worst, the administration has swept up delivery drivers, street vendors, farm workers, and meat packers. The result, researchers warn, is a labor disruption with far reaching consequences. California hit hard. In California, where raids have been especially aggressive, state workforce data shows a sharp drop in participation. From May to June, the total workforce fell by 3.1%, while the number of non citizens reporting to work dropped by 7.2%, the steepest decline since the Great Recession. Researchers attribute the decline not only to deportations but also to widespread fear, with many workers avoiding job sites altogether. The fallout has extended into classrooms. A study of school attendance in the Central Valley, where Border Patrol raids was concentrated, found attendance plunged 22% in June. Broader national impact beyond California, the economic effects are beginning to mount. According to Economic Insights and Research Consulting, construction employment dropped 0.1% in the 10 states with the largest undocumented workforce, a stark contrast with the 1.9% growth seen elsewhere. Hospitality growth slowed to just 0.2% in June 2025, down from 1.5% the year before. Agriculture was hit hardest. Farm employment fell by 155,000 workers between March and July 2025 compared with gains during the same period in 2024. Prices for vegetables, beef, and pork climbed at a similar pace, suggesting labor shortages are driving up costs for consumers. Business in crisis. Individual communities are feeling the strain. In Ottumwa, Iowa, A meatpacking plant fired 200 workers after Trump revoked their legal status. In Omaha, Nebraska, another plant lost half its workforce after a raid forcing production cuts as beef prices rise. In South Florida, a Latino grocery store reported a 20% decline in sales. In Los Angeles, immigrant run food trucks are struggling as customers vanish. A warehouse hub in Edison, New Jersey, shut down for days after a one I-9 audit. In New Mexico, a dairy farmer raided by ICE had to close temporarily after losing 11 workers. Employers are left in the dark, adding to the confusion. Many of the targeted employers had relied on E-Verify, a federal program designed to confirm workers' legal status. Yet the White House has called businesses that rely on the system reckless, leaving small business owners uncertain about how to comply with federal law. The American Immigration Council warns that if mass deportation operations continue, the early signs of labor shortages, rising consumer price, and economic instability could escalate into a deeper crisis. Employers are being left in the lurch without tools to stabilize their workforce, the report concludes. The warning signs are flashing red. And see, this is the problem. Nobody want to admit that we have jobs that basic Americans that been here are not going to do. And that's just what it is. People that been in the country, people that been in the educational system, people that got family, people are not going to take certain jobs. It's just certain jobs a lot of Americans are not going to do. Just as far as PTSD and slavery and black Americans, black Americans are not going to want to pick stuff because of the trauma of slavery, because of the education of slavery. Black Americans are not going to. The word pick is not. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. You're not going to be able to replace people that's picking food with foundational black Americans because you ain't even pay us for the cotton we picked. And we trying to fight for reparations, so we not picking nothing. A lot of white Americans ain't never picking nothing. They got educations. They doing things. Asian Americans ain't picking nothing. They got their own businesses and they work in their own little cities and they own the Chinatown and the Koreatown. They are doing for self. And so it's going to be limited people that take these low paying jobs. Usually low paying jobs used to go to like high school children old enough and college kids, but they're not going to want to pick stuff because they're already Americanized. They'd rather go work in Foot Locker or something. They're not going to go out and pick fruit and pick stuff. They're not going to. Americans are not going to do that. Only immigrants are going to be willing to do that. I guarantee you, there's hardly no Americans that are going to want to go and pick fruit or vegetables because that's going to be considered like going back into the 50s or something to Americans. Americans already have like a higher idea of living. Nobody's going to go pick fruit. Then a lot of people ain't going to want to do that back breaking type of labor for that cost. You know what I'm saying? That's hard work. A lot of Americans rather turn to crime. I'm just going to be honest. They rather sell something illegal and take their chances. So what you going to do? You're going to go force prisoners to do it? Well, who want to eat food that prisoners is harvesting and picking? It's one thing to have them picking cotton like they do in New Orleans. And then if you start having prisoners responsible for picking fruit, aren't you going to start locking up more people for bogus charges to fill in that workforce? So we shouldn't even agree with prisoners working, because that seems to make the prison system lean to get more employees and send more people to prison. You understand? And so Trump is ruining the country. And people say this is what his base voted for. This is not what they voted for. This is not. They are lying on Trump supporters. Trump supporters didn't vote for him for none of this. A lot of Trump supporters voted for him because there's some of them is racist and they wasn't going to pick no women of color. Some of them were male chauvinists and they don't believe in no women. And some of them thought by his persona and that him Trump that he had a lot of money and he would bring some money to the table. Why don't we be honest? People thought he was going to make some money happen. Those are the three reasons he got the votes. He got a lot of votes because of misogyny of men that wasn't going to vote for no woman. Of course, we don't want to admit racism and we don't want to admit misogyny. Two, racism. She was a woman of color and they only want a white person in office. America has a race problem and a problem with race and a problem with women. I don't know when America's going to be honest and work to fix their problem. And then three, they thought he was about some money. He Donald Trump. He got Trump Towers. So I'm not going to just hate on the Trump supporters and say, oh, they wanted him to do all this crazy stuff. Because many of the farmers that's losing money voted for him. You can't tell me that they voted for him thinking they finna lose money. They had no idea that they was gonna lose their cattle ranch or they was gonna lose their farm. They didn't know he was crazy like that. I didn't like Trump, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know he was this slow. I had no idea. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had no idea that Donald Trump was this stupid. There's no way you could have made me believe that Donald Trump would chase out farm workers right before Thanksgiving. It ain't no way. There's no way in the world I would have ever believed that you're going to chase away people when we got to pick the food. I would have never believed that. I never would. That never would have crossed my mind. Right when it's time for Thanksgiving and all the food got to get picked, Donald Trump is going to chase everybody away. Listen, I'm not going to disrespect white Americans or Trump supporters. No Trump supporter thought that would happen. I didn't support Trump, but I ain't going to just be lying on people. I like to be honest. I'm not going to blame this on Trump supporters. This is not what they asked for, okay? The couple of lunatics acting like this is what they asked for do not represent Trump supporters. Trump supporters did not vote for this. They did not vote for this. I'm not going to lie just because I was picking one candidate, picking the other. See, that's a whole nother video right there between people that support this one and that one, and they just make up stuff against the other one. Nobody knew Trump was going to do half of this stuff. Nobody. Trump supporters did not know he was this stupid. But he's getting senile, so we probably couldn't see it. And anybody knows about getting senile, it starts happening quick. So he could have had some sense when he was running for office and just hit that wall for dementia and to be senile. It could have been just now. That's just how things work sometimes. This might just now be a total different Donald Trump. He is going to be 80. And if you got relatives, like my father, I took care of him when he started getting like that dementia stuff. It does come quick. They be all right a little bit, and then they just don't. Just like that. They ain't gonna take nothing but 8 to 10 weeks, and then they ain't all right no more. You got it where they got dementia, and you got it when they don't have the dementia. Well, where's that line? Where there's a line where they go from this and they start to go. And Donald Trump is probably was at that line at some point. And now he's getting bad. I mean, anybody could see it. He's not fit to do the job. Just like Biden wasn't fit. Biden wasn't fit to do the job. They should have sat Biden down after about 18 months in office. They should have sat him down. They should have said, look, Biden is doing a great job. He's a hard worker. He's not going to quit. So it's up to us to sit him down and let him rest. They could have did it in a beautiful way and said, Joe, we want you to retire. We're not throwing you out. We are basically honoring you, Joe, saying that you ain't going to quit unless we make you quit. You are a hard worker. And then they could have sat him down like that with honor and say, we just making Joe sit down because he ain't going to sit down because he loved the country and he'll work if he only had one leg. You could have did it in a nice, professional, diplomatic way, which is the truth. Joe is a great American, is trying to do a good job, and he would have never sat down. We would have had to make him sit down. Because also, when you got dementia stuff, you don't know you got it. You know what I'm saying? And so Trump needs to sit down. He can't do the job. When are they going to admit it? He can't do the job. Don't leave him in there all that time. They should have let Harris run that country for the last 2 years. That's what they should have did. Then you would have known if she's good enough for re-election or not. See, that could have saved, and we could have seen if she can't do the job because Biden didn't do nothing. But I'm just not really understanding chasing people off the farms right before Thanksgiving. This is why I say they need some regular people. Somebody to say, excuse me, can I say something, Mr. Trump? Do you think we should chase them out of here right before Thanksgiving when it's harvest time? Like I was a grower. I grew in Hawaii. So all the farmers and all the people that's growers know what I'm saying. You work a long time for harvest time. And you don't make these type of decisions at harvest time. The farmers wouldn't mind if you made a decision at a time where they had time to hire some more people. But you didn't fire these people right when the food is ready, and who's supposed to pick it? The food's gonna go bad. So it's just gonna be rotten food everywhere. Because it needs to be picked right now. What does it say? Where does it say? September to November. It's supposed to be getting picked right now because fall is coming. And if you don't get that fruit from out there and it start raining, it's going to rot. You don't, listen, I'm a grower. You don't have a lot of time from the end of the summer to fall. You got to get the food from out there before the storms come, before the moisture comes. Because the moisture is coming and it'll ruin the food. So when that food gets ready at the end of August, you got to get that food out of there fast. Fast. You cannot let it start falling, raining, and that food sitting out there in that rain. because it's not going to be hot enough to dry it back out. See, when it rains in June, July, early August, it get back 90 degrees, 100 degrees, dries it out. If it rains on that food now and it's only 60 degrees, that food's all going to mold. It's not going to dry out. We talking billions of dollars in food could possibly go bad. So I'm not understanding. If it's me, I'm fast tracking these people to citizenship. You came here, you look for work, you're helping Americans have food on the table. Congratulations, salute to you. Sign right here. You are now a U.S. citizen. Sign right here saying you ain't going to do no crimes. If you do any crimes, anytime within the next 7 years, it's instant deport. That's all. But you came and worked. Now the bums on the street and the crooks and the people breaking in houses and trafficking and all that, them the ones throw them out of here. Throw them out of here. But don't throw these people out of here. You see that lady bent over right there? She don't deserve to be here. And she bent over picking that stuff. That's a lot of work for her. She don't look like she in good shape. What you got to do to be a citizen? These look like good citizens to me. These look like good citizens to me. They deserve a chance because they doing work other Americans can't do, and that's the history of America. When the immigrants came here, the white immigrants, they was all put in a lower position. The Italians was in a lower position. That's why they became the mob. The Irish was in a lower position. That's why they became mayors and police. The blacks was in a lower position. That's why we became recording artists and business people and doctors. And now we got the next group. They on the lower end, and they need to work to be able to get out of that position. That's American history. And who's more important than the people that's taking care of the food? I would rather these people taking care of the food than prisoners. Prisoners is mad at the world. So I just don't understand why these people that work for these farms aren't fast tracked to citizenship. I don't understand that. Don't talk that bad about them, but eat the food they provide on the table. If they're good enough to pick your food, they're good enough to be citizens. And white Americans ain't gonna do this job. I don't know why so many white Americans are against these migrants, knowing you're not gonna do the job. Why don't you just be honest? You work for Ford, you work for Chevy, you work on a train, you're an engineer, you got a more prestigious type job. Because you've been here, you're an American, you've been here for a while. These people got to get any type of job they can find while they adapt, while they slowly learn English, while they slowly learn how to adapt into the system. And these people come from areas where they used to working with fruits and vegetables. They coming from a more rural area. So it ain't no big deal to them. They coming from South and Central America. They've been picking coffee. They've been picking fruit. So this is why they go for these jobs. They've been doing construction work. So here in this country, we got like whole construction sites with buildings and nobody there. All the migrants left. Who gonna finish building the property? Man, all across this country, there's abandoned property because migrants left. Watch this. everywhere. There's housing developments where people live. Where people are supposed to be building houses and they not there. The search ain't letting me find it. But when you watch TV, you see site after site after site where they got these homes where they building their homes and all the construction workers left. Let me see if I can find it. You know, it's not good business. I don't know what's going on, but it's not good business. To me, I can't I can't find pictures of it, but I'm sure I can find stories of it. It just doesn't make sense to me. You know, it really doesn't. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. I don't know. I think if people want to work a job, I think you should leave them alone. You know what I mean? Especially if you can't find nobody else to do the job. And to just run people away at harvest time. Come on, man. You gonna run people away right when it's time to pick all the fruits and vegetables for Thanksgiving and Christmas? This is the food. You know, I don't get it. I don't get it. Nebraska announced plans Tuesday for an immigration detention center in the remote southwest corner of the state as President Donald Trump's administration races to expand the infrastructure necessary for increasing deportation. So they gonna build more. Man, they trying to build somewhere to lock up immigrants in a place where they need them to pick the food. Yeah, I never heard nothing that ridiculous in my life. It's totally ridiculous. Okay, it's ridiculous. Like pick which who you want in and who you want out. Look, how the current immigration crackdown is impacting food and farm workers. So far, 2025 has been an unprecedented year of open hostility toward food and farm workers, many of whom are immigrants, both documented and undocumented. While the last few years saw incremental progress toward improved conditions for workers, like the long awaited advance of federal heat protections and new oversights on the scandal ridden H-2A worker visa program, those issues have been almost completely shoved aside in favor of an immigration policy advertised as mass deportations now on the 2024 presidential campaign trail. Undocumented workers have been increasingly subject to raids and detentions by immigration and custom enforcement, both at home and the workplace, alongside executive orders that have revoked legal status for many documented workers. These raids have intensified a climate of fear and repression that has long kept farm workers and other laborers in the food system quiet about the conditions they face, as well as cut off from medical care, legal help, and other critical services. And with so many workers gone or hiding at home, those that remain are expected to pick up the slack, making some of the most dangerous jobs in the food system even worse. So basically, these people is hiding, and employers could treat them any kind of way because if they say something, they get deported. So it's basically slavery. It's basically the same. This is slavery. To have somebody work for you under fear, well, now you can totally underpay them, you can totally abuse them, but because of fear of being deported or locked up, now you can abuse them. Around 40% of farm workers in the U.S. is undocumented. So almost half of the people that they're using is undocumented. And you tell me they didn't know that? The numbers are similar in many other parts of the food system, especially meat packing, where undocumented immigrants fill an estimate 23% of the jobs. That left some big questions about how farmers and others in the food and agriculture industry might be impacted by the new administration's immigration policies, especially given a years long labor shortage that was already making it difficult to find workers. For the most part, farmers supported the Trump administration in the election, with many believing the president's claim that he would spare farm workers from promised mass deportations, focusing instead on dangerous criminals. And for the first few months of the administration, that assumption largely held. Early ICE action appeared to be targeted operations against activists rather than broad sweeps, with the exception of one allegedly untargeted raid on a Vermont farm in April, when union farm workers and immigration activists Alredo Lilo Jarez Zeferino was seized by ICE in Washington in March, and workers associated with the United Farm Workers were arrested in New York in May. Many believe the actions were intended to intimidate workers and stall organizing efforts. In June, however, that changed thanks to frustration within the administration that the agency wasn't meeting its deportation goal of 3,000 people per day. To meet them objective, ICE agents began aggressively targeting work sites, visiting farms and packing sites in California and a meat packing plant in Nebraska on June 10th. Those raids generated an immediate flurry of complaints from farmers and the food industry who lobbied the Department of Agriculture and the president to hold to earlier promises of an exemption. Initially, industry pushback appeared to make a difference. President Trump announced on social media that he was reconsidering the policy, but any hope for a pause was stifled by representatives from the Department of Homeland Security, which oversees ICE, who made it clear that there would be no exemption for raids on farms and other work sites. Since then, there have been a few more high profile ICE actions on farms, including one chaotic raid in California that terrorized hundreds of workers and resulted in the death of one man, Jamie Alanis, who fell more than 30 feet from a greenhouse roof. While the pace of major raids on farm and other food work sites seem to have slowed, smaller raids are still ongoing, targeting workers on their way to farms, at warehouses, and other job sites. And the effects of the raids have already been profound. Families of workers at raided sites often have no information about whether their loved ones have been detained, where they are being held, or whether they've been deported. And seeking that information out often puts workers' family at additional risk. For communities that have already long been subject to ICE raids at home and out in their communities. Work sites are now another place immigrants, regardless of legal status, fear being singled out because of their appearance, with one worker interviewed by The Guardian describing feeling like they are being hunted like animals. As a result, many farm workers and their families report hiding at home, which has in turn left businesses and streets in many neighborhoods empty. Raids have also had a big impact on farms and other businesses across California. Farmers have reported that as many as 70% of their workforce have been missing in the wake of the raids. One preliminary analysis shows agriculture employment declined 6.5% nationwide between March and July of 2025, reversing a trend of increased hiring in the sector. Even if workers were to come back eventually, those temporary disruptions have big consequences on fruit and vegetable farms where crops might have been harvested, might have a harvest window of only a few days. Exactly. You only got a few days to pick it. In a tough farm economy, even one missed harvest from a high value crop is enough to put some farms at risk of going under. Some farmers have already reported that they've reduced plantings in response to raids, which could quickly cut production of labor intensive crops in areas like Florida. So basically, y'all, they went back on their word. The food is, we're losing a lot of food, and we got tariffs, and it's time to harvest the food for the holidays. We are looking at a disaster. We're looking at a situation where the Trump administration didn't think this through. They moved off their emotions, and he's got emotions all over the place, Trump. And this is going to definitely turn out bad. The price of food is going to go through the roof, and we might even see shortages. He's been beefing with Mexico, so now he's got to turn around with Mexico. After mistreating lots of people from South and Central America, he's got to turn around and try to beg Mexico to send food up here to make up for the food that we was growing up here. But now the farmers up here are going to lose all that money. And so now we got to buy food from people in a country that we don't even want in this country, but we got to buy the food from them in their country. And we all know that a lot of this is just really racism. This is not crime or nothing. This is racism. It's as simple as that. They're targeting, even targeting black cities with the National Guard and all that, targeting Hispanic workers. This is racism being disguised. And the sad thing about it is the other races ain't gonna pick the food. It ain't like you taking people from jobs that you lining up to get. Nobody's want them jobs. The cost of living is going up. The cost of food is going up. So because of these tariffs and because of these raids, the cost of food is going up so much that if Americans wanted to pick the food, the economy is too messed up for you to be able to survive picking the food. Think about it. Even if Americans wanted to go pick the food under this Trump administration, the economy's messed up so bad, you wouldn't make enough money to survive anyway, because the food gonna cost how much? And so a farm worker job is not gonna have no money to be able to afford the price of this food by next month, the month after. Typically, we have a overstock of food, so you can go and get beans on sale and all of that during Thanksgiving. Man, you're not gonna be able to do hardly none of that. And if you do, all of the beans and stuff you buy gonna be have Spanish written on them, where they're gonna have to go get them from South and Central America. But without some luck, the bottom is gonna fall out the economy in the United States. And if I was you, I would store up some food. If I was you, because this food needs to be picked September and November across the country. And in California, it should have started being picked from August to October. And if this food don't get picked, it's going to be a shortage. And a lot of food going to go bad because it's going to be left in the fall. It's going to be left in the rain. They ain't going to be able to pick it in enough time. It's going to spoil. So that's up with that, y'all. Thanks for watching. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what to tell y'all, but I will tell you, start buying some food and store some food up. That's what I would tell you. Store some food up. Get you some beans and rice right now. If the price go down and there's plenty of it, great. But if not, get you some, and this is how you treat it. This is how you save it. All right? Victory.